Much appreciate that. Deputy Catherine Connolly, can you introduce your priority?
Just it's a net question really. What awareness had the Minister, or what knowledge did she have or has she in relation to the IDA and the expenditure of €10.4 million, €1 million on rent of property that was unoccupied and €9 million to break the lease? Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. I understand that you're referring to Carisbrook House, the lease on which was taken over by IDA Ireland from September 2013 on the assignment of properties from Forfos to the IDA. Prior to this, the lease passed through a number of state agencies since the 65-year lease was first taken out in 1969. Carisbrook House was 85% vacant for a number of years, despite having been actively marketed by both Forfos and the IDA. The building was difficult to sublet, partly on account of the high cost of refurbishment. The IDA also did not have vacant possession of the entire property due to an existing lease with the tenant which runs until 2025, thereby limiting its marketability further. After carefully considering the best course forward, the IDA decided to exit the lease with effect from December 2015, as it was the least costly option for the state. The alternative was continuing to meet contractual obligations to pay rent over the remaining lifetime of the lease until 2034, together with meeting additional liabilities that arise in the context of the full repairing and insuring lease. And while the payment of €9.4 million to exit the lease was a significant amount, it does represent a saving to the state of an estimated €13.65 million in comparison to maintaining the lease until completion.
Minister, thank you.
Minister, it certainly would represent a saving, but the question is, how was this allowed to happen? What was your knowledge of it? When did it come to your attention or the previous minister's attention? How could something like this be allowed to happen, where taxpayers' money, €10.4 million, is going on a property that's empty? And now you're after giving me the background to it. I appreciate that. I appreciate you're trying to do your best. But really, are you standing in the Dáil today, standing over this waste of taxpayers' money on an empty property? When did you become aware of it? When did your department become aware of it? What have we learned from this? Is this being repeated in other buildings? We've certainly had this experience in Galway with the health executive, where they had to break the lease entirely as well and pay $1 million practically. There's something seriously wrong with a government and government departments that tolerates this type of policy.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Your response?
Thank you. The decision to exit the lease was not made lightly. IDA commissioned the services of a professional property company to review a number of options, including the early surrender of the lease. The agency carefully considered this advice, along with that of a further real estate company and a financial services consultancy, who also provided professional options. After almost 2 years of discussions and following intensive negotiations, the agency and the landlord came to an agreement in the late 2015. Had the IDA decided to remain in the lease, it would continue for an additional 19 years. So what I'm really saying, Deputy, is the IDA, there was a tenant there. They couldn't move the tenant. They tried to lease and they couldn't lease. So there was actually a vacant building there.
Okay, thank you, Minister. Deputy, do you want to come back again?
Clearly, at this point, words fail me. In addition to this waste of money, you had consultants paying more taxpayers' money. My question is, when did you become aware of it? What did you learn from it? And how will this situation be avoided in the future?
Very succinct. Thank you, Deputy Minister.
Okay, just 1 second.
Okay, you take your time.
First of all, this happened in September 2013 when the IDA when they acquired the building on the assignment of the properties from Forfos. So when did I become aware of it? I became aware of it in the last number of weeks. What I will say to you, though, is that the decision to enter into this particular lease was taken a very long time ago, in 1969. And given the nature of the lease and its terms, the state's hands were very much tied in terms of options to exit its contractual obligations. Clearly, there is a need to avoid such a scenario happening again. I am confident that through the lessons learned, we will make sure that this doesn't happen in the future.